A 2-year-old girl disappears without a trace. A mother caught in a web of deception. A trial that gripped the nation. To this day, one question remains. What really happened to Caylee Marie Anthony? Caylee Marie Anthony was a bright, energetic 2-year-old girl from Orlando, Florida. Her giggles and playful nature were captured in home videos that would later haunt the nation. But in the summer of 2008, the world would come to know her name for a much darker reason: her mysterious disappearance. The most shocking detail? Caylee wasn't reported missing for over a month. It wasn't her mother, Caylee Anthony, who alerted authorities, but her grandmother, Cindy Anthony, who made a chilling 911 call on July 15, 2008. Her voice trembled as she told the dispatcher, "It smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car." That call ignited a case that would become one of the most infamous in American history. The investigation quickly turned into a national media frenzy, fueled by unanswered questions and the bizarre behavior of Caylee Anthony, the young mother at the center of the storm. As authorities dug deeper, a web of lies, contradictions, and shocking revelations unfolded. What really happened to Caylee Marie Anthony? And why did her mother wait so long to report her missing? This is the tragic, twisted story of Caylee Anthony's disappearance, the suspicious behavior of Caylee Anthony. As the search for Caylee Anthony intensified, attention turned to her mother, Caylee Anthony, and what investigators uncovered left the public outraged: the party lifestyle. Instead of reporting her daughter missing, Caylee Anthony was seen partying at clubs, taking photos with friends, and even getting a new tattoo on July 2, 2008, just days after Caylee was last seen. The tattoo, which read Bella Vita, meaning beautiful life in Italian, would later become a disturbing symbol of her apparent lack of concern. Caylee's carefree demeanor didn't align with the grieving mother whose child had supposedly been missing for over a month. When confronted, she offered a bizarre explanation, one that investigators quickly dismantled: the fake babysitter story. Caylee claimed that Caylee was with a nanny named Zanny the Nanny, whose real name was supposedly Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. She described Zanny as Caylee's longtime babysitter, saying she had dropped Caylee off at Zanny's apartment and that Zanny had kidnapped her. But when police investigated, they discovered that Zanny the Nanny never existed. The address Caylee provided led to an empty apartment, and there were no records of Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez ever knowing Caylee or Caylee. With no nanny, no clear explanation, and a mother whose actions didn't match her words, the case took a disturbing turn. Investigators had to ask, was Caylee Anthony hiding something much darker? Lies upon lies. As detectives pressed Caylee Anthony for details about Caylee's disappearance, her story kept changing. She led authorities on a wild goose chase, fabricating people, places, and events, each unraveling under scrutiny. She told police she worked at Universal Studios, confidently walking investigators into the building, until she suddenly stopped and admitted she had been lying the entire time. The job? Fake. The co-workers she claimed to have spoken to about Caylee didn't exist. Every lead Caylee provided ended in dead ends. Detectives began to doubt everything she said. If she was lying this much, what was she trying to hide? The abandoned car. One of the most controversial pieces of evidence in the case was Caylee Anthony's abandoned car. On July 15, 2008, Caylee's parents, George and Cindy Anthony, were notified that her Pontiac Sunfire had been towed from an Orlando parking lot. When George went to retrieve it, he noticed an overwhelming stench coming from the trunk, one he recognized immediately from his years as a former police officer. It smelled like death. When forensic experts examined the vehicle, they found a bag of trash in the trunk, which the defense argued was the source of the odor. To support this claim, forensic entomologist Timothy Huntington testified about his experiment involving decomposing pigs placed in car trunks. He observed that such decomposition would attract numerous insects and leave significant stains. However, these indicators were absent in Caylee's car, leading Huntington to suggest that the odor might have originated from the bag of trash, not human decomposition. This conflicting testimony highlighted the complexity of the forensic evidence, leaving room for doubt about the true source of the odor in the trunk. The discovery of Caylee's remains. In December 2008, after months of searching, the case of missing toddler Caylee Anthony took a tragic turn. A utility worker, Roy Kronk, discovered skeletal remains in a wooded area less than half a mile from the Anthony family home. The remains were found inside a canvas laundry bag, which was then placed within 2 plastic trash bags. On December 19, 2008, authorities confirmed through DNA testing that the remains belonged to Caylee Anthony. The medical examiner, Dr. Jan Garavaglia, ruled the manner of death as homicide, though the exact cause remained undetermined due to the state of decomposition. One particularly disturbing detail was the presence of duct tape found near the front of the skull. Forensic experts testified that the duct tape was likely placed before decomposition, suggesting it may have covered Caylee's nose and mouth, indicating possible foul play. Cause of death unknown. The medical examiner, Dr. Jan Garavaglia, concluded that Caylee's death was a homicide, but due to the advanced state of decomposition, she could not ascertain the precise cause. Detectives discovered traces of chloroform in the trunk of Caylee Anthony's car. Additionally, computer records revealed that someone had searched for terms like chloroform and foolproof suffocation on the Anthony family computer. Notably, a Google search for foolproof suffocation was conducted on June 16, 2008, the last day Caylee was reportedly seen alive. The trial of the century. The trial of Caylee Anthony captivated the nation, earning the moniker the Trial of the Century. Beginning in May 2011, the proceedings were marked by dramatic revelations and intense public scrutiny. Caylee Anthony's defense. Lead defense attorney Jose Baez presented a shocking narrative. Caylee Anthony had accidentally drowned in the family's swimming pool on June 16, 2008. Baez claimed that in a state of panic, George Anthony, Caylee's father, helped conceal the accident to prevent accusations of child neglect against Caylee. This theory was a stark departure from Caylee's initial claims that a nanny had kidnapped Caylee. Furthermore, the defense alleged that Caylee's seemingly indifferent behavior following Caylee's disappearance was a result of long-standing trauma from sexual abuse by her father, a claim George Anthony vehemently denied. The prosecution's case. Prosecutors painted Caylee Anthony as a young mother burdened by parental responsibilities, yearning for a carefree lifestyle. They argued that she resorted to murder to free herself from these obligations. The prosecution highlighted Caylee's month-long delay in reporting Caylee's disappearance, her participation in nightlife activities during that period, and her deceptive behavior towards investigators. They contended that Caylee used chloroform to subdue Caylee and then suffocated her with duct tape. The controversial verdict. On July 5, 2011, after deliberating for 11 hours, the jury delivered their verdict. Not guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter of a child. However, Caylee was found guilty on 4 counts of providing false information to law enforcement. Public outrage. The acquittal stunned the public, igniting widespread outrage. Many believed that justice for Caylee had been denied. Protests erupted outside the courthouse, and the case became a focal point for discussions about the criminal justice system's efficacy. The Caylee Anthony trial remains one of the most polarizing legal proceedings in recent history, leaving an indelible mark on America's collective consciousness. Theories and unanswered questions. Did Caylee act alone? Some believe Caylee Anthony accidentally overdosed Caylee with chloroform, while others argue she intentionally killed her to reclaim her freedom. Forensic evidence found traces of chloroform in her car and on her internet search history. The drowning theory and George Anthony's role. The defense claimed Caylee drowned in the family pool, with George Anthony covering it up. George denied involvement, and many question why Caylee failed to report the accident for 31 days. Why the lies? Caylee's fabricated stories about a fake nanny and false employment remain baffling. Was she hiding something more sinister, or was it simply her instinct to manipulate? Conclusion: the mystery of Caylee Anthony's death remains unanswered. While Caylee Anthony was acquitted, the questions surrounding her daughter's fate still haunt the public. Many believe justice was never served, and Caylee's actions, her 31-day silence, false stories, and partying continue to fuel speculation. Today, Caylee lives in Florida, maintaining her innocence, and reports suggest she even wants to have another child. but for many, the shadow of Caylee's tragic fate will never fade. What do you think happened to Caylee Anthony? Was it a terrible accident or was justice denied? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more real-life stories of the world's most perplexing true crime cases. Next, we will uncover a shocking case where a young woman vanished without a trace, only for the truth to surface decades later.